when the countdown ended. New Year's Eve was supposed to be loud, messy, alive. But as midnight approached, the world felt quieter than it should. I was alone in my house watching the final seconds tick down on TV, 11:59:40. My friends had begged me to go out, but I wasn't in the mood. I thought I'd enjoy the peace. Then the TV froze. The announcer's voice dragged into a distorted, metallic echo. The numbers on screen stopped at 11:59:53. I grabbed the remote. Nothing worked. The lights dimmed. The hum of the refrigerator died. The entire house fell into an unnatural silence. No fireworks, no distant shouting, no cheering, just a ringing emptiness that pressed against my skull. My phone said the same thing. 11:59:53. Frozen. The second hand on my wall clock twitched uselessly like something trapped. Then, faintly, I heard it. A voice, not outside, inside the house. 7, 6, 5, slow, whispered, as if someone was standing right behind me, counting down in a voice that didn't belong to anyone human. I turned. Hallway empty. Shadows stretching too far. 4. The lights flickered back on, dimmer than before. 3. Something moved at the end of the hall. Tall, wrong. Shaped like a person, but too long, too thin, head tilted as if curious. 2. Every door in the house slammed shut at once. The house shook. I staggered backward, pressing against the wall, my breath tearing out of my chest. 1. Silence. Not relief. Not celebration. Just silence so deep it felt like the world had stopped breathing. Then every window in the house exploded inward, but there was no glass on the floor, no wind rushing in, because outside wasn't outside anymore. There was no street, no sky, no world, just a vast black expanse with faint, distant sparks frozen in the air, like fireworks that never finished exploding, colors stretched and suspended, unmoving like they were trapped in thick syrup, and between them moved shapes, dozens, hundreds, tall silhouettes drifting slowly through the frozen world, heads turning toward my house like they felt me notice them. Something whispered right beside my ear even though no one was there. You didn't celebrate. You didn't welcome the new year. You didn't give it permission to begin. My house creaked, walls bending, floorboards groaning like bones under pressure. Footsteps started above me, heavy, dragging, crossing the ceiling toward the top of the stairs. I backed away as dust rained down. A long, pale hand pushed through the ceiling as though the wood was skin. Fingers stretching, bending backwards, searching. I ran, but the hallway wasn't my hallway anymore. It stretched, lengthened, doors repeating, wallpaper warping, the house becoming a maze that breathed. Every time I looked back, the thing was closer. Not running, not rushing, just confidently following, like it already knew the ending. I burst into the living room, and there on the TV, the frozen countdown screen flickered back to life. 11:59:54, 11:59:55, 11:59:56. The voice spoke again, calm, patient, right behind me. "Finish it." "I don't want to," I screamed, tears burning my face. "I want out." The floor split. I dropped to my knees as a low, rumbling chorus of voices echoed from the walls, the ceiling, the floorboards beneath my hands. Finish. The countdown. The world outside the shattered windows pulsed. The frozen fireworks twitched, trying to move. Shadows gathered at the edges of the house, pressing closer, shapes with too many arms, too many smiles, too many eyes that didn't blink. The TV hovered at 11:59:57. I whispered, shaking, barely breathing. 3. The house exhaled, long and relieved. 2. The thing behind me placed a hand on my shoulder, cold, gentle, grateful. 1. The screen exploded into blinding light, and the cheering started. Screaming, laughing, fireworks detonating all at once. Sound slammed into me like a tidal wave. For a moment, I thought I'd made it. Then the TV showed live footage of celebrations all over the world, except every smiling face was twisted. Every cheering person had hollow pits where their eyes should have been. Fireworks screamed like living things, and everyone everywhere slowly turned their heads, not looking at the sky, looking at me. The time finally switched, 12 a.m., and a voice whispered, "Now the new year can begin." The hand on my shoulder tightened. I didn't turn, I didn't scream. I just realized something horrible. Time had started again, but not the same one we left. And I am very, very sure I didn't bring the year in. I let something else out. New Year's didn't come alone. I always thought the scariest part of New Year's Eve was the loneliness. I was wrong. It started at 11:57 p.m. The neighborhood was loud, fireworks already popping in the distance, people laughing, shouting, drinking. I sat alone in my living room, TV on, waiting for the countdown like everyone else. Nothing special, nothing strange, until everything stopped. The TV froze mid-celebration. The live crowd on screen locked in place with mouths open mid-cheer. The music cut off mid-note. The fireworks outside turned silent. Even the air felt like it wasn't moving anymore. And the clock on my wall, it stopped at 11:57:59. I stared, confused. Power outage? No. The lights were still on. My breathing sounded too loud, echoing in the sudden silence. Then I heard it. A whisper. Soft. Close. Right behind me. "You're late." I spun around. No one there. But the house, it didn't feel like my house anymore. The walls seemed to lean closer. The shadows felt thicker. The silence was wrong. Not empty, but listening. The TV flickered. The frozen New Year's broadcast changed. Now it showed my street, my house, my living room. The camera was looking directly at me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. On the TV behind me, something stood in the hallway. A tall, long-limbed shadow, head bent low like it barely understood how to wear a human shape. Slowly, painfully slowly, it lifted its head. I didn't want to turn. I didn't want to see. But I did. The hallway was dark, but not empty. Something stood there, long arms dragging across the floor, head tilted too far. Its outline kept twitching like it didn't belong to reality. It didn't rush. It just stood there, watching me. Then every clock in the house, the microwave, my phone, the TV, the wall clock, all ticked forward at once. 11:58:00. The thing in the hallway twitched. A low groaning sound filled the house, like the walls themselves were in pain. Another tick. 11:59:00. My chest tightened. The world outside began to vibrate. I heard fireworks again, but they didn't sound right. They didn't boom. They screamed, high-pitched, drawn out, like something being torn in half. My phone buzzed, one notification. Don't let it hit midnight. No sender, no timestamp, no warning. Just that. On the TV, the shadow creature took one step forward. The floorboards under my feet trembled. Lights flickered. A deep, echoing voice seemed to rumble from everywhere at once. Count. I won't, I shouted. Every door in the house slammed shut at the same time. My ears rang. The clocks jumped again. 11:59:30. The thing was closer now. I could see its face, except there wasn't one. Just darkness with the faint impression of something like a mouth stretching wider than it should, splitting too far, an endless grin made of nothing. The air turned freezing. My breath came out in white fog. Each second dragged longer than the last, stretching, twisting. 11:59:45. The walls began to bleed black, shadow dripping downward like thick tar. Everything trembled. The voice came again, whispering all around me, inside me, under my skin. Count, or it will. I didn't want to, but I didn't want to find out what it was, so I whispered, 10. The house sighed. 9. The shadow straightened. 8. It leaned closer. 7. My voice shook. 6. The lights went dead. Total darkness. Something cold brushed my neck. 5. My eyes filled with tears. 4. 1,000 whispers surrounded me. 3. The creature leaned close enough for me to feel the nothingness where its face should be. 2. It opened that impossible grin wider. 1. The world exploded into color. Fireworks detonated outside, thunderous, deafening, shaking the air. The TV erupted in cheering crowds. Lights flared back. The clocks rolled forward. 12 a.m. Happy New Year. I laughed. I cried. It was over, or so I thought. Then the TV screen went black. White text appeared. Thank you for letting us in. All around the neighborhood, I heard people screaming, not celebrating. Screaming, and from my hallway, more footsteps, not one, not two, dozens, dragging themselves into my house. The countdown didn't welcome the new year. It opened a door, and I was the one who unlocked it. Midnight stayed. I used to love New Year's Eve. The noise, the lights, the feeling that everything might get better. This year, I stayed home alone. I wasn't in the mood to celebrate. I thought peace would feel nice. It didn't. At 11:58 p.m., my house went completely silent. Not everyone stopped talking, silent. Not, you turned everything off, silent. I mean, nothing existed. No wind, no distant fireworks, no hum of electricity. Just a thick, heavy silence pressing against my ears like someone had buried me underground. My TV froze on the live broadcast, people smiling, confetti mid-fall, fireworks halfway exploded, all stuck. The clock on the screen read 11:58:14, and it didn't move. My phone time matched it. So did the microwave. So did the wall clock. So did the world. I laughed nervously and stood up to check the power box. Something knocked on the window. 3 soft taps. Not like a person, not like a branch. More like something gently testing the barrier between inside and outside. I turned slowly toward the glass. There was nothing there. Just darkness. But the darkness looked too close. Like the night wasn't outside the house anymore. It was right against the window, pressing its face to the glass. The TV crackled. The frozen broadcast disappeared. Now the TV showed me, sitting in my living room, in real time. But behind me, on the TV, there was a shape, tall, thin, bent forward like its head was too heavy for its neck, arms long enough to scrape the floor. I didn't turn around. I didn't breathe. On the TV, I saw it slowly tilt its head. It was right behind me. The house whispered, not one voice, hundreds, layered over each other, whispering the same word, count. The clocks jumped. 11:59:00. My chest tightened. I shook my head. No. The whispering grew louder. Count. Every light in the house flickered, stretching shadows into long, shaking shapes, crawling across the walls. The screen showed the thing behind me lifting its hand, reaching for my shoulder. I couldn't stop shaking. The clocks moved again, 11:59:30. The house groaned like something inside the walls was pushing, stretching, trying to escape. Count, the voices said again, closer now, breathing in my ear. I squeezed my eyes shut. 10, I whispered. The house relaxed. 9. The thing on the TV leaned closer to me. 8. A cold breath touched the back of my neck. 7. I felt something stand directly behind me. 6. The floor creaked under its weight. 5. My vision blurred with tears. 4. The air turned freezing. 3. The whispers became excited, hungry. 2. A mouth formed next to my ear. 1. The TV flashed white. Fireworks boomed outside, sudden and deafening, ripping through the silence. Cheers erupted. The world came alive. Time moved again. 12 a.m. I collapsed to the floor, shaking, laughing, crying. It was over. Then the TV turned back on. Not the broadcast, just text. White letters on black. Thank you for keeping midnight alive. We'll need you again next year. Outside, people cheered. Fireworks cracked open the sky, and in the reflection of my turned-off TV screen, I saw dozens of tall, thin shapes standing outside every window, watching, smiling, waiting for the clock to break again.